Hi everyone, my name is Destiny.
And I'm Taylor.
And we're going to be talking to you about relational dialectics theory, which is in the textbook under chapter 11.
Okay, so to give you a little bit of history, some background of the theory, relational dialect theory was founded by research of Leslie Baxter and Barbara Montgomery. And Leslie Baxter actually has a PhD in communication that she got from the University of Oregon. And she's currently working as a professor of communication at the University of Iowa. Barbara Montgomery is also definitely a well-educated scholar of the theory. It was just a little more difficult for us to find background on her, but she's definitely, a reputable source. And the theory really touches on how humans experience collisions between opposing desires and needs within relational communication. So pretty much every relationship you have, whether it's, intimate, romantic, or just your friends, even with your parents, like the tensions that you experience between these relationships just based on like conflicting desires or thoughts or whatever, this theory really goes into and explains what each of these tensions is that you're experiencing.
And before we get into the meat of our theory, we just kind of want to go over the basic gist of what we're going to be talking about. So the first thing to note is that relational life is in constant motion, and this just means that throughout your relationship, you're not going to get to a point where it's stagnant and you just stay doing the same thing. Like you're constantly going to be changing and coming up with new ideas, new conflicts, things like that. And relational life is characterized by ongoing tensions, which Taylor just kind of mentioned. And we'll be talking about these tensions more thoroughly. They're also referred to as the dialectics, so just keep that in mind as we're going on. Partners in relationships have conflicting desires throughout the relationship. So say, for example, that you like to be very close and intimate with your partner, but your partner's kind of more, he wants his own time, she wants her own time to do other things and not spend all of their time together. So you have to come up with a way to kind of both be satisfied in that relationship, which brings me to my next point, that people attempt to reconcile their desires. And we'll be talking about the coping methods that you can have in a relationship to really make sure you're both getting what you need and fulfilling those desires. And then finally, dialectical tensions just remind us that relationships are constantly changing and that in order to have a successful, satisfying one for both of you, that you need to attend and maintain to the relationship. So it's constant, you just constantly need to be aware of what's going on between you and your partner and come up with ways in which you can really both be satisfied, as I just mentioned. Really? Okay, so moving on, we have to kind of go through the assumptions of RDT in order to really, and we have to accept them in order to move on with the rest of the theory. So the first thing is that relationships are not linear, and this goes along with the motion that I was just talking about. And basically in your relationship, there's no one set path. You're going to be moving forward, obviously, and oscillating around certain ideas, but then there may be times where you're stepping back a little bit and you have to kind of maybe decide how to move on from there. The next is that relational life is characterized by change, and these changes don't have to be good or bad. So when you're looking back on 6 months in the past with your friends or with your relational partner, it doesn't have to be a negative thing, being like, oh, we were so different a year ago or 6 months ago. It's just something to keep in mind that it's going to be different no matter what. The third assumption of RDT is that contradiction is the fundamental fact of relational life. And this basically means that conflicts are never going to go away. It's something that you're going to have to deal with, and you have to take the appropriate steps in order to move further. And then the last assumption is communication is central to organizing and negotiating relational contradictions. So in this we just mean you need to have appropriate communication styles, which we'll be going through, and you need to really talk about these tensions with your partner in order to make sure that everything's working out. And finally, meaning emerges from the interplay of struggle and is constant. And as new struggles shift or produce, new meanings are given at any time in the future. This is kind of confusing, but this is just saying that maybe the current struggles and tensions that you're having with your partner at a specific point relate to something that you talked about earlier in the relationship. So we'll be talking about the different dialectics, and maybe if you're having a certain problem with one of the dialectics in your relationship, you can relate it to the dialectics that were happening earlier in your relationship. And so theories where there are contradictions, there can be one of three ways of explaining them. So we have monologic, dualistic, and dialectic. Monologic contradictions are framed as either or, and as you move towards one extreme, you have to retreat from the other. So as you can see down here, it's just one continuum, and if you're moving towards B, say B is happiness or something, you're retreating from A, which is sadness. And it doesn't have to go that route. You can obviously go from B to A. So just keep that in mind that it's one continuum. If you're moving towards something, you're moving away from the other. Dualistic contradictions are completely separate, and as you can see down here, this just allows you to evaluate your relationship differently at really different times. So maybe for a few days or a week, you and your partner are really intimate and close with one another, but then the next few days or like a week later, you're completely separate. You just have other things going on in your life that you need to attend to, and those aren't going to be comparing to one another. You just have to look at them with just that one point of view. Like you're just focusing on how intimate you are, or you're just focusing on how distant you are. They're not really comparable. And then dialectic contradictions are framed as both and so we simultaneously want both extremes, and we have to come to a happy medium. So obviously that one is much more complicated, and that's really what our theory is involved with, is dialectical tensions. And so an example of this is your partner might want to be open, but also protective. So in your relationship, you're going to want to disclose information and be talking about certain things going on in your life, but you're definitely not going to want to disclose everything. Like you have to have boundaries. So this will go up and down. They'll interplay with each other, like both extremes. So that's just something to keep in mind. You have to focus on coming to like a middle point for our theory.
Okay, so we continue with the background information and just give you a few terms you should know as we go out through the presentation. One is contradiction, and this is the central feature of the dialectic approach and refers to the dynamic interplay between oppositions. So the example up here talks about one partner desiring distance and the other wanting intimacy. So try to compare this to maybe your own relationships where maybe you have one end, one partner wants to just do their own thing, they don't want to really hang out with you for the day, they just want to have some space, and the other partner's like, oh man, like I really want to hang out with you, like I miss you, I want to be like super intimate. And so these are the contradictions, these are the oppositions within that relationship. And the dialectical unity is kind of the communication between these oppositions. So it's the way people use communication to make sense of contradictions in their relationship. So how you pick up on these oppositions, like I go home, I want to hang out with my boyfriend all day, but he says, you know what, like I had a long day, I just want to go to the gym, I want some space for right now. I would say, okay, he doesn't want to hang out with me right now, let him go and do his thing and we'll hang out later. But we need to come together and kind of say, okay, I know, he'll need to tell me, I know that you want to hang out with me, so I'm going to go to the gym, and then later when I get home, we can have dinner, we can watch a movie, we can spend some time together, because it's important to have that compromise. And totality says people in relationships are interdependent and contradictions must be understood as part of the whole, not in isolation. So this talks about talking about these tensions. All of these conflicts that you're having throughout the day are all going to add up, and if you don't really take the time to talk them out and figure out the compromise and try to fix it, the tension's only going to get worse, the stress is only going to get stronger, and you're going to have an even bigger fight if you ever do. So it's important to kind of communicate with each other and come to a compromise so that you can, get along.
And going off of totality, you have to remember that all of these different dialectics we'll be talking about kind of interplay with one another. So maybe you're having a tension in one aspect, and it can relate to the other tensions, and you'll kind of see how these mix and go along together later on.
Then next would be motion, and this is the processual nature of a relationship, including movement, activity, and change. So this is either just keep doing the same thing or change it up and do something different. And the example here is a partner moving between secretiveness and disclosure. So say you just start dating someone, you've got a lot of things that you don't want them to know right away, but as you start to date them, as you get to know them and start to trust them a little bit more, you might start to share some of these secrets and disclose a little bit. And it doesn't only have to be with a boyfriend, it could be with any friend that you're just meeting, you don't want to maybe disclose too much. And so maybe you want to tell them a little bit about what's going on, but you don't want to give them too much because you don't want to be too vulnerable. You still want to protect yourself. So an example would be secret contestant disclosure. So letting them know a little bit of what's going on and not disclosing too much. Just like letting them know, okay, yeah, like I've had some bad relationships before, but not getting into it too much. And then praxis refers to active choice making in relationships through participation and interaction. What choices are made during dialectical tension? So how do you work it out? What compromises do you make? The example, a couple deciding whether to try something new or continue what's been done in the past. So like a real life example that I can give you, I'll talk about my boyfriend a lot just because it's easy because like I see him all the time. When we have days off together, which is like hardly ever because their schedules are so opposite and they like never line up. But if it's a Saturday and we have a day together, we'll want to do different things. And recently with the weather being so nice, I've been wanting to like get outside and like maybe go down like the Flat Rocks or to the lake or like Rice Creek. And, you know, I'm not from here, so a lot of these things are new to me. But my townie boyfriend just nothing's new to him. He doesn't ever want to do anything in town. He would just rather lay around the house and watch the hockey game. Sabres play at 4, like, so we'll come to a compromise and we'll say, okay, we'll go for breakfast in the morning, maybe we'll go out for a walk, but as long as we're back this afternoon to watch the hockey game, that's like a compromise that we come to. So, interactional dialectics, these are tensions located in the relationship itself, resulted from and constructed by communication, part of the partner's interaction with each other. So basically, if you've ever gotten into a fight with anyone because they might tell you, oh, like, how was I supposed to know that's what you were thinking, like, you never told me, or I can't read your mind, just like different communication styles between who you're having this relationship with. Maybe they don't think that they need to really spill everything out to you, that you should just get it, but you're like, no, like, I didn't know that. This happens to me with my dad a lot. He'll like tell me that he can't read my mind and that I need to like tell him things because he can't help me unless I like explain. Makes sense. So that's just